morning. Thanks for staying with us. In the UK, new anti-terror measures were presented by Prime Minister David Cameron to fight the return of extremists back to the country. It's estimated that 500 British citizens have travelled to the Middle East to fight for different militant groups in the region. To hear more on how the UK plans to deal with the matter, we're joined on the phone by Jonathan Sacerdoti from London. Good morning, Jonathan.
Good morning.
So what measures were presented by Prime Minister Cameron?
David Cameron wanted to make it clear that Britain is going to be tougher on these 500 plus jihadis said to have left the United Kingdom to go and fight with Islamic fundamentalist forces in Syria and Iraq. And so the new measures that he announced included tighter controls on where people who the state felt were becoming radicalized, as they put it, here in the UK, tighter controls on where they could live, on their travel to this region by perhaps removing their passports. There was, of course, talk of even removing their citizenship and similar measures like these. But he's run into trouble with his coalition partners who don't back most of the measures he wishes to put in place. And that means that despite announcing these changes, it's not actually clear how much of this he'll be able to put in place.
I see. How are people in Britain reacting to this ideas? Because obviously some personal liberties will be in danger here.
That's right. Well, British people are rather nervous about the idea of getting too involved in more wars in Iraq and in the Middle East at large, thanks to their experience with the Iraq war previously and the war in Afghanistan. As such, it's not just measures on civil liberties that people are afraid of, but they are afraid of that, when Mr. Cameron also suggested that we may be able to get involved in bombing of jihadis without asking Parliament, as he did last time he wanted to intervene in Syria. These are not things that are supported by the majority of the UK population. Only 35% of people believe that the UK should launch airstrikes against ISIS, with 50% disagreeing and 15% unable to decide, according to a poll announced in the Times newspaper today. And similarly, when it comes to restrictions on people's movements and the removal of passports and citizenship, these are not necessarily popular moves. On the other hand, there is a recognition among society here in the United Kingdom that we do need to act, and we need to act firmly when it comes to British-born jihadis who are flying out to the Middle East to get involved in brutal wars. And when we saw the beheading video involving a killer apparently with a British accent, and these people being able to return back to the United Kingdom with the jihadi skills they had learned in the region and potentially being able to carry out terror attacks here in the United Kingdom, then people are also demanding some sort of protection under the law from this kind of activity. So it's a bit of a conflict for the majority of people in the UK to know what they would prefer: some sort of curbs on civil liberties that would enable the security services to better monitor and limit the ability of such suspects, or more freedom and higher risk.
Of course. Now, we've seen that beheading video and heard that accent, and the number thrown around, 500 people in the Middle East that might come back. Does that sound right to you?
Well, that's the official number, is around 500 who are said to be fighting there. And then just over the last couple of days, more people are becoming known to the government and to the intelligence services. Another 2 jihadi females have been uncovered in the last day or two. They are believed to have married jihadi extremists, and they too have been declaring their jihadi intent on websites and online. These things are worrying for people to see here, especially when they do hear British voices like the accent of the alleged killer in that video. People cannot understand how it has come to be that those born in the United Kingdom have somehow taken on board this extremist ideology and traveled out to a region far from home in order to engage in brutal killings, including, for example, this beheading with a knife. Yep. People don't understand how British-born men and women are able to somehow adopt this ideology and then have the freedom to fly back here with those skills and those ideas fresh in their mind.
Yeah, it is puzzling. Jonathan Sacerdoti in London, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dad.